good news is that like I am like I still have a little bit of like some free time. So I'm gonna go ahead and like just take a little bit of time, you know, because time is like so, it is relative, but like also when you are mindful in your ways that you're spending your time, somehow it like gives so much more time. Like it gives you like more of the perception, I guess, of it, because this whole time while you're like spending your time, you're more aware, so you have like more engagement with it, something like that. More acknowledgement for what it really is, I guess. So that's something that I think about, like, you know, maybe it's really about taking more time, or not really about taking more time, but just using time wisely, you know. And I can see how like often like I'm not really doing that. I'm kind of like sidetracked and doing 20,000 things and stopping to smell the flowers a little bit too often and stuff like that, that makes it like a little bit tricky, you know. But something to think about, because as I'm like going off on my like whatever, I just find that like I really want to like try to squeeze a little bit more in there, you know. It's so exciting, and it's like you level up and you want to like spend more time on certain things more so than others, and it's like it's just hard to know like where does that time come from, or like what am I doing already that might be perhaps like taking more time than is like necessary. So that's definitely one piece of it, is to like try to become like more efficient in our use of time, or more efficient at the things that we're already spending our time on, or what we're like investing our time on. And then when you're more efficient with that, it should, you know, theoretically take less time, literally. Hi. But then like to consider like our own perceptual awareness of time, and how when we are inattentive, things will take longer because we're less efficient anyways. Like that disconnect, it's going to take away from the availability that you are providing to the moment. And like overall the quality, I think, will be like challenged then by that. And we may experience even more frustration noticing the lack of quality. And anything like this frustration, all of the things we're telling ourselves about how it's not like good or whatever, it's really instilling of like this like sense of self-doubt that's gonna really weaken like the whole of the equation. So I'm gonna try to think about how, like, you know, it's not always about efficiency either. Sometimes you can, well, I mean, I know that I have this kind of like a pretty sad habit of like overcomplicating things. And so when that is the case, and I'm like wondering, why is this taking so long, or why is this so hard for me? And then I realized like, hey, I'm kind of doing that to myself by like adding 12 steps into this like 6-step process. So that's definitely like one of those things. But also simplifying, because I used to believe that the overcomplicated approach was more, I don't know, it was more pleasing intellectually or something, you know, it was more challenging maybe, but simplifying does not decrease the value, it literally remains the same, okay? So if we think about that, it's not a bad thing. It can actually preserve more of the available capacity we have for like other things, you know? And yeah, I really honestly believe that like there's so much potential, you know, given any exact identical time frame. It's really how we're choosing to use it that matters, right? I don't really want to go down Bowen, so I'm just gonna like head back because I'm a little bit nervous because I'm still learning. So all right, so here we go. I guess this wasn't necessarily a loop, but that's a-okay with me. Also taking this video is helping me to like keep track of that time. So like when you have an awareness of the clock itself and you're looking at those numbers, right? You're very much oriented. You're very much going to like naturally calibrate to it, because it is a piece of things. Like, you know, you think about your landmarks in your life, or what kind of environmental cues are we using to help us to understand what comes next? You know, because if I'm on this longboard and I can't seem to like manage to like get a few more than a couple kicks in, because I mean, okay, so in the process of learning, we're testing out a lot of different things, some of which will not always be the most effective or the most graceful, the most skillful, something like that, you know. We might be like giving our attention to things that shouldn't have it in those moments. Like if I see a cute dog walking down the street, or if I am like, if I was, I don't know, I know that I get easily distracted by whatever, and this constant quest for like identifying the beauty in all of these things worth recognizing as like sources of gratitude, sources of inspiration, it is beautiful. It definitely does inspire like a lot more ideas to continue to flow. But it can also be problematic in that ideas are ideas. And it is wonderful in and of itself, but until you're able to like put something into motion, use that idea as like a source for like what comes next, let it develop into something greater, you know, put theory into practice, use your skills to do something. And when I say do something, I'm not talking about just thinking about it. I'm talking about getting really actively engaged in the process. The material self, the behaviors we witness, the ways that we connect, all of this plays a role in that kind of like level of the process of creativity. And of course, like, there's so many ways to go about doing any of this, but really what I'm focusing on, I guess, is more like our mentality or perception during that process. Like, if we could understand how often we are actually limiting ourselves because of the form that we're taking in thought or in action, operation, whatever. And so that's one important piece, because you're going to want to like understand what it is about the way that you're doing the thing that's making it hard. What is it about the way that you're doing the thing that might be overcomplicating it? Are we taking 12 steps instead of 6, you know? Because something that I never hope to forget is that there are always more ideas. There are always more ways of doing something, and if you do not see that in the world around you, create it, make it. Alternatives exist, period. Like, there's an infinite potential there. The only limits that we really truly have are the ones we enforce. So it's like, you know, if you're believing that there are no other options, well, it's not likely that you're going to continue to look for other options. It seems to me like if you're saying something like that you've probably made up your mind by now about what you believe. But the challenge to this would be, well, what else haven't I considered? Because currently in this very thin frame of time that we're existing in, if this is the thought, you have not yet experienced the next minute and the next and next. Undeniably, the new inspiration and new influences and just constant information in this world is coming to us. So, like, never close that door because it is truly the openness that is going to get you there to the answers to these problems that you're having or what it is that you're seeking. And sometimes we don't always know what it is that we need. And in those cases, what I would truly recommend, simply keep going. Even in the face of the unknown, keep trying different things. Test it out. Notice what works and what doesn't. you know, keep working on it, fine tune, because it's really truly in the experience that the most growth is taking place. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fall. Don't be afraid of looking like a weirdo, you know, not knowing how to longboard on a busy street. It doesn't matter. Just do what makes you happy. And if your goal is to become a better artist, it's simple. Just keep making art. Okay. Anyways, that's it for now. I love you all. Bye.